Chaos erupted in Cleveland this week, not because of an injury, not because of a major trade, but because a rookie quarterback just did something most NFL veterans wouldn't dare to do. Shedeur Sanders walked straight up to his coaching staff and called them out right in front of the cameras, teammates, and media. Every sports network, podcast, and locker room in the NFL is buzzing with one burning question. Did Sanders go too far, or did he just say what everybody else was thinking? Sanders fell to the 5th round when he was projected as a first-round pick. The Browns drafted him 144th overall after already selecting Dillon Gabriel from Oregon 2 rounds earlier. He sits 4th on their depth chart behind Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Gabriel. Adam Schefter reported on his podcast that the Browns are more likely than not to keep 4 quarterbacks on their 53-man roster. This decision would leave just 49 spots for the rest of the roster. The Browns actually have 6 quarterbacks on their roster after signing Tyler Huntley due to injuries. Deshaun Watson remains on injured reserve and will stay there all season. The quarterback situation creates a mathematical problem. Kenny Pickett is injured with a hamstring issue. Joe Flacco is 40 years old. Gabriel is also dealing with a hamstring injury. Sanders recovered from minor shoulder soreness and stands as the only healthy option. The incident happened during a scorching day at Browns training camp. The offense struggled through a standard 1-1-on-1-1 session. After several uninspired plays, the offensive coordinator called another inside zone run. The defense had already seen this play multiple times. Sanders' body language changed immediately when the play came through his helmet headset. He stepped away from the huddle and shook his head. Then he said it loud enough for the sideline mics to catch. "That's a garbage call, bro. That ain't gonna work. We ain't moving like this." Everyone on the field froze. Teammates stared, coaches stiffened, some fans along the sideline gasped. Sanders executed the play half-heartedly. The predictable run was blown up in the backfield. Then he marched calmly toward the sideline, not in anger, not yelling, but with cold determination. Standing just feet away from quarterback coach Alex Van Pelt and offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey, Sanders said, "We're out here going through the motions while the defense reads everything we run. This ain't gonna cut it. I'm not about to look stupid out here. If y'all want to win, let's run something that actually works." The silence was deafening. Cameras from the team's in-house media crew caught the entire exchange. The clip leaked within minutes. By sunset, it was all over social media. Headlines exploded across every platform. Rookie QB blasts coaching staff. QB goes rogue. QB meltdown or leadership moment. The clip was edited, subtitled, and replayed on every ESPN panel and NFL news feed. Inside Browns headquarters, tension reportedly exploded. Head coach Kevin Stefanski was furious behind closed doors, according to team sources. The offensive staff felt publicly undermined and embarrassed. Veteran players in the offensive line room allegedly called a private meeting to discuss the incident. They were concerned that their rookie quarterback was overstepping his bounds. But not everyone was outraged. Some voices in the locker room expressed quiet support off the record. One wide receiver told a local beat writer, "Look, he ain't lying. The defense has been smoking us all week. Same looks, same calls. Maybe it takes the rookie to finally say it out loud." Sanders added fuel to the fire by posting a cryptic Instagram message that night. "You can't elevate surrounded by those comfortable and average." He included a dark photo of his cleats covered in camp dirt. No caption, no tags. The screenshot was shared across every NFL subreddit and sports show. This controversy cuts deeper than a training camp squabble. It speaks to a larger question looming over the Browns for years. Does this franchise know how to develop a quarterback? Over the past 2 decades, Cleveland has become the graveyard of young quarterbacks. Tim Couch, Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, the Deshaun Watson saga. The Browns' track record of mismanaging quarterback talent spans decades. Sanders didn't arrive in Cleveland to join that list. He came expecting structure, excellence, and accountability. Not just from himself, but from the coaches paid to build the system around him. When he said, "We ain't moving like this," it wasn't just a critique of a single call, it was a statement to the entire organization. Despite the drama, Sanders maintains his confidence. During a recent press segment, a reporter asked what he could show in a game setting that he couldn't during practice. His response was direct, "Have you watched me in college? I'm still the same guy. Nothing happened to me." Sanders played 50 games in college. He completed 1,267 of 1,808 passes for 14,353 yards with 134 touchdowns and 27 interceptions. He also ran for 17 touchdowns. He won the 2024 Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award following his final season at Colorado. Sanders said, "The sports world divided on Sanders' actions." Stephen A. Smith said on First Take, "I love that fire, but you better back it up. You're in the NFL now. Grown men get paid to do this. You want to be a leader? Fine, but now the spotlight's on you." Skip Bayless blasted Sanders, calling him another Instagram quarterback who thinks he's smarter than the staff before taking a single regular season snap. Shannon Sharpe offered a balanced perspective. "I've seen worse from veterans. If this lights a fire under the coaching staff, good, but he better deliver or this will follow him forever." One anonymous AFC quarterback said on social media, "There's a way to handle stuff behind closed doors. You pull the OC aside. You don't put him on blast like that with cameras running. Now you've made it a circus." Robert Griffin III claimed the Browns are setting Sanders up to fail. He pointed out that Cleveland has a thin receiving core, questionable offensive line, and mysterious rushing attack. Any quarterback stepping in faces significant challenges. All eyes were on Sanders the next day at practice. Would he be punished? Would the coaches reassert control? Surprisingly, he ran with the first team again. Something looked different. The offense moved faster. Formations were more diverse. Deep shots opened up. Was it coincidence or did his message get through? The coaching staff remained silent publicly. No press conferences, no fines, no denials. The team's social media accounts posted photos of Sanders throwing in practice with the caption, "Locked in." Behind the scenes, tension remained real. Every move Sanders makes now will be scrutinized. Every incompletion, every third down decision, every sideline conversation. Two paths lie ahead for Sanders and the Browns. First scenario, Sanders' leadership sparks change. Coaches adapt, the offense grows. The Browns become the team their talent demands with a young quarterback who refuses to settle for mediocrity. Second scenario, the organization bristles. Coaches close ranks. The locker room splits. Sanders becomes another quarterback buried beneath Cleveland's history. The moment Sanders walked to that sideline and challenged his coaches, he planted his flag. Not just as a player, not just as a rookie, but as someone who sees the game differently and refuses to stay quiet about it. Sanders now carries white-hot spotlight because he asked for it. The entire NFL is watching to see whether he made a brilliant stand or a fatal misstep. One thing is certain, he's not here to play it safe. He's here to change things. The Cleveland Browns quarterback battle just took a shocking turn. Shedeur Sanders delivered a stunning performance against the first-team defense on his very first opportunity. Now experts are buzzing, players are taking notice, and some are even saying he's earned a spot with the starters. But here's what makes this development particularly significant for Myles Garrett and the Browns defense. They might have just witnessed their future franchise quarterback in action. Sanders faced off against the first-team defense for the first time and looked like he belonged at the highest level. According to 92.3 The Fan's Nick Padone, the Browns may be holding Sanders back deliberately. Doesn't it feel like that they've got the training wheels on Shedeur Sanders? If he balls out in preseason, the Browns are not going to be able to continue Hyde, Padone wrote. The limited opportunities haven't stopped Sanders from making an impact. Things have reportedly gotten so restricted for Sanders in camp that he's occasionally been forced to throw to staff members during practice. This indicates just how few real reps he's been receiving with the actual team. Former NFL cornerback Asante Samuel Sr. highlighted Sanders' efficiency during a recent podcast episode. He goes out there and does something like he did today. 9 for 9, 2 touchdowns, 32 other teams are watching, Samuel said. Oh man. This might be the first time we see in history that something bizarre happens where a team tries to make a trade for him like the New Orleans Saints. Nick Wright made his stance crystal clear, stating that Shedeur Sanders deserved to be the starter. Wright wasn't just impressed by Sanders' talent, he also pointed out the competition Sanders was facing against quarterbacks like Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, and Joe Flacco. Wright's assessment of Kenny Pickett was particularly harsh. Wright argued,
because he has found himself with Kenny Pickett, who is not an NFL quarterback. Flatly not an NFL quarterback. We have seen it every chance he's had, every opportunity he's had to play.
He stated that Pickett had already been given ample opportunities to prove himself, but failed to convince anyone he was franchise quarterback material. As for Joe Flacco, Wright dismissed him outright. Despite Flacco's Super Bowl pedigree, Wright believed Flacco no longer had what it took to be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Flacco, who I just think if you're the Browns, what are you doing? Why?
Unless they think they can actually make the playoffs.
Wright also addressed Dillon Gabriel, acknowledging the young quarterback's potential, but pointing out his size as a significant limitation. While Gabriel couldn't control his stature, Wright believed it wasn't going to be enough to elevate him to the starting role. Wright dug into the stats from the training sessions, acknowledging that while they might not hold much weight in the grand scheme, they couldn't be ignored. Every time those numbers came up, Sanders was either at the top or outshining the other quarterbacks. Whether it was completion percentage, decision-making, or overall efficiency, Sanders consistently stood out.
Yeah.
And the fact that whatever those training camp stats are worth, and maybe it's next to nothing, it's not nothing, and it's not 0% that they're worth, and every time we show him, he's at least in line with everybody. And so I just think
generally better.
I think there is.
ESPN's Mike Tannenbaum also believes Sanders is the best option to start. Guys, Shedeur Sanders, this is a no-brainer. I want you to take some copious notes here. Since 2000, there's only been 6 quarterbacks start a game under 6 feet tall. That's Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Bryce Young, P.J. Walker, Seneca Wallace, and Doug Flutie. Exactly. So, to me, even though Dillon Gabriel went in the 3rd round, I would start Shedeur Sanders. Let them fight it out on the field. But to me, Shedeur Sanders has the better pro body and more upside. Tannenbaum said on Get Up. Chris Broussard weighed in, urging the Browns to take a serious look at what Sanders could bring to the table this season. Broussard didn't hold back, calling for the Browns to put Sanders in and let him prove what he could do in real game situations. According to Broussard, if Sanders shows what he's capable of, he could very well be the franchise quarterback Cleveland's been searching for. Broussard didn't mince words when it came to Dillon Gabriel. He made it crystal clear Gabriel wasn't the Browns' answer at quarterback. Broussard stated that Gabriel seemed more like a career backup, not someone who could lead a team as the starter. He wasn't convinced Gabriel had the tools to take on a first-team defense and perform at a high level.
I agree with Haslam in that obviously you need to see what your rookies can do. And I do think they think of Gabriel as like a backup, like a career backup maybe.
Garrett Bush highlighted Sanders' growth during the training sessions. According to Bush, Sanders had not only stepped up his game on the field, but had also shown maturity off of it. Bush pointed out that even when Sanders wasn't getting as many reps, he remained professional and handled the media with poise, showing leadership beyond his years. Bush mentioned the looming injuries and how they were likely to force the team's hand, giving Sanders more opportunities with first-team reps. As the depth chart shifted, Bush believed Sanders' chances to prove himself would only increase.
You know, I've been at camp every single day. I got a lot of respect because his game has really stepped up. He's shown a lot of growth in knowledge of the playbook, shown some maturity. Handled not getting reps very well. Everything he's asked in the press conference, he's answered well. And now, with injuries, because things happen.
Bush was absolutely confident in his assessment of Sanders. He made it clear that if Sanders continued to prove his worth, showing consistent performances week after week, there would be no way the Browns could keep him off the field. Bush was adamant. If Sanders kept playing at a high level, the starting job would be his, no questions asked. Despite all the hype surrounding his rapid rise, Sanders has remained patient and focused on the long game. In a recent interview, he shared his mindset about the situation. Sanders made it clear that he wasn't wasting any time waiting for his opportunity. He was doubling down on his understanding of the game.
I'll say just have a deeper level of understanding because I know whenever I get my opportunity, I got to maximize it. So that's something you have to change in the mentality standpoint, and the mental standpoint is okay. I just got to think about what I could do to get better.
Sanders addressed the limited rep situation directly during training camp. I'm not even going to think about that or have that even in my thought process of why it is. It doesn't make me feel down, or it doesn't make me feel left out or anything. Because I know who I am as a person. I know who I am as an individual. And I know what I could bring to this team, Sanders said. Coach Kevin Stefanski noted Sanders' progress over the past couple of months. Yeah, I think Shedeur does a nice job of keeping the main thing. He's working hard and keeping his head down, Stefanski said. Even first-team players are starting to take notice of Sanders' rapid development. Jerry Jeudy, a standout wide receiver, spoke highly of Sanders, praising his growth both on and off the field. Jeudy made it clear that Sanders had become noticeably more confident and more precise in his play. He pointed to the progress Sanders had made since OTAs and minicamps, where he was already showing flashes of brilliance. According to Jeudy, it was clear to everyone that Sanders had only gotten better as time went on. His growth wasn't just physical, it was mental too. Myles Garrett, one of the league's premier defenders, added significant fuel to the growing buzz surrounding Sanders. When asked if Sanders could live up to the sky-high expectations, Garrett's response was immediate and powerful. "Since he's joined the NFL and I've seen him practice, I'm sure he can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the league," Garrett said. Those words weren't just a compliment, they were a statement of belief from one of the most dominant forces in the NFL. Garrett's confidence in Sanders sent a clear message. Sanders wasn't just some rookie, he was someone who had already proven in practice that he had the tools to compete with the best. This endorsement from Garrett carries significant weight. As a player who faces elite quarterbacks regularly and understands what it takes to succeed at the highest level, Garrett's assessment provides crucial validation for Sanders' abilities.
I don't think that's not my place, to answer, to even be able to give the answer to that.
Cleveland just got turned upside down. Shedeur Sanders stepped onto that practice field Monday running with the second-team offense, and what happened next has everybody talking. Sanders uncorked a gorgeous touchdown bomb to rookie receiver Gage Larvadain during 11-on-11 drills. Corner Cameron Mitchell was in coverage, but it didn't matter one bit. The ball placement was surgical. Only Larvadain could reach it, and he hauled it in for 6 points that had the entire practice facility shocked. But here's what makes this crazy. Sanders did this while running behind Joe Flacco and Dillon Gabriel in the depth chart. Kenny Pickett missed Monday's session with a hamstring injury, making Sanders the third quarterback in the rotation, third string, limited reps, maximum impact. The film breakdown shows everything you need to know about Sanders' development. He stepped up in the pocket under pressure, set his feet properly, and delivered a frozen rope that split the defense. This wasn't some lucky heave. This was precision quarterbacking from a fifth-round pick who's supposed to be fighting just to make the roster. Jerry Jeudy dropped some major intel after the fourth training camp practice. When asked about the quarterback competition, Jeudy said he's seen them guys getting better each day, and they're working towards their goals, working hard, and doing what they're supposed to do on the field and off the field to be better than it was the day before. But Judy's body language told a different story. The Pro Bowl receiver has caught passes from all 4 quarterbacks during individual drills, but in team situations, he's only connected with 3 of them. Sanders is the only quarterback who hasn't thrown to Jeudy during first-team reps. That's about to change. The rep distribution reveals everything about Cleveland's internal evaluation. Through 4 practices, Dillon Gabriel leads with 12 team series. Joe Flacco has 9. Kenny Pickett managed 7 before his hamstring injury. Sanders sits at the bottom with limited opportunities, but he's maximizing every single one. Training camp statistics show Sanders going perfect 4 for 4 on one practice day. Another session had him at 5 for 8, while Gabriel went 4 for 8, Flacco 4 for 11, and Pickett 2 for 6. Sanders threw the only touchdown pass despite getting the fewest reps. Higher completion percentage than everyone else with minimal chances. Myles Garrett's involvement changes everything. After Friday's practice, Sanders stayed on the field working with center Brady Latham to fix some bad snap exchanges. Then Cleveland's $160 million franchise cornerstone walked over and started helping. Their all-pro pass rusher invested extra time after practice to support the rookie quarterback. Garrett's actions speak louder than any depth chart. This is the same player who demanded a trade in February because Cleveland was a non-contender. The same guy who got his massive extension in March with one clear message: I expect to get to the Super Bowl. When your franchise defensive star voluntarily helps the 5th-round quarterback, that sends shockwaves through the organization. GM Andrew Berry and head coach Kevin Stefanski were spotted closely observing Sanders during his latest training session reps. This wasn't casual watching. Both executives were locked in on every move, every throw, every decision Sanders made. That's the attention you only get when you're separating yourself from the pack. Offensive coordinator Tommy Rees was seen watching Sanders closely from the sideline during Monday's practice. Sanders isn't going through the motions. He's capitalizing on every rep, showcasing precision, vision, and playmaking ability that's leaving seasoned professionals impressed. The organizational context adds urgency to Sanders' situation. Cleveland's offense ranked 30th in scoring last season at 17.1 points per game. Their defense posted an elite 82.2 PFF grade, but the offense managed just 62.1, dead last in the league. Garrett can't carry that garbage again. Kenny Pickett's hamstring injury opens the door wider for Sanders and Gabriel to make statements. Pickett's $2.6 million guaranteed contract provided job security, but injuries change everything. Sanders has no better time to prove himself than right now. The timeline creates natural pressure. Cleveland's quarterback uncertainty won't exist in 2026 when elite prospects like Arch Manning enter the draft. If Sanders fails to capitalize on this opportunity, his NFL window could close quickly. The CFL's Toronto team holds his rights as a fallback option. Judy's assessment of the quarterback room reveals growing confidence in the group.